Yo guys, what's good and welcome back to another video on CaliWeight BROS CWB. In this video I'm going to show you how you can start your calisthenics journey. Namely, I'm going to show you some ultimate beginner skills which are very easy to achieve, and show you how you can transfer the easy skills to much harder skills, namely intermediate skills, which require more effort and more patience in order to achieve them. So let's go. So the very first calisthenics skill I would recommend a beginner is the so-called Frogstand Hold. You can do this exercise on the floor or on parallels. If you do this specific skill on the floor, then keep in mind that you have to warm up your wrist properly. To start training for the frog stand, you can do this progression. First, single foot assisted frog stand hold. Second, single foot assisted frog stand reps. 5 reps per side and try to do them as slow as you can. The frog stand is also a very achievable skill and will help you for future more advanced skills like the frog stand to headstand or the frog stand to handstand. Let's move on to, let's call it show-off skill, the so-called elbow lever hold. So the elbow lever and the frog stand hold have in common that you try to balance yourself with your hands. But the difference of the elbow lever and the frog stand hold is the following. While you tuck your legs when doing the frog stand hold, you have to straighten your legs when doing the elbow lever. You can start doing single leg elbow lever holds. After that, single leg elbow lever raises, like in the progression for the frog stand hold. Try to do the single leg elbow lever raises as slow as possible, and eventually you are able to hold the elbow lever. The next step of the frog stand will be the so-called frog stand to headstand. This is a very impressive skill where you place your head on the floor and raise your legs up like in a handstand hold. You start by doing the frog stand and then you slowly lower your head on the floor. Simultaneously, you raise your legs up and hold this position. This is a great skill for later on the handstand hold, and it also strengthens your core. To start learning the skill, it is also important that you feel comfortable with leaning down/forward while you are in the frog stand position. It might feel uncomfortable at the first attempts, but eventually you get more comfortable with it. Also, you get a first feeling of being upside down, which will help for the handstand hold later on. So let's move on to the last of my so-called beginner skills, the handstand hold. Now, there are several ways to enter the handstand. I would recommend 2 ways. First, kick-ups. Second, frog stand to handstand. So take the handstand seriously and start training for it. I would recommend you to start with simply doing kick-up attempts against the wall. You will definitely can't hold the handstand right away, but just try to hold the position as long as you can, even if your feet are on the wall. When you have reached the point where you feel slightly comfortable with this position, then try to hold the position with only one foot, leaning on the wall. Hold this position as long as you can. Eventually, you will get a feeling of it and you can try to put both of your feet in the air. After you feel comfortable with this position as well, you can increase the distance to the wall and try to hold the handstand before you touch the wall with your feet. Finished with the beginner skills, moving now on to the more interesting part, the intermediate section. The first intermediate skill which I would recommend to you after you have achieved the frog stand to handstand, and the handstand itself is the so-called handstand push-up or HSPU. The HSPU is a more advanced skill and requires a lot of shoulder strength, core stability and patience. The HSPU training itself is very simple. First of all, I would recommend you to keep training your handstand hold. You should at least hold the handstand for 15 seconds without any trouble. Also, if you haven't done it yet, start doing pike push-ups. This specific exercise simulates the HSPU movement and will improve your shoulder strength. The second thing I would recommend you in order to learn the HSPU are HSPU negatives. Especially the bottom position of the HSPU is a very exhausting position to hold. You have to have the strength to hold yourself in this specific position, and eventually you will feel comfortable with doing the HASPU. The second intermediate skill which I like to present to you is the so-called 90-degree hold. While the elbow lever is all about balance, the 90-degree hold requires a lot of shoulder strength. Of course, it is also about balancing your body with your hands, but it is also about having the strength to hold yourself in the air. So in order to have a good scapular protection and the shoulder strength, I would recommend you to do planche lean holds and pseudo planche push-ups. I will promise you that only these two exercises are enough to achieve the 90-degree hold. I hope you liked this video, and I hope that I could give you some advices which are helpful for your progress. The skills I have presented you are an example of how you could start your calisthenics journey and how you can use very easy skills to achieve more advanced so-called intermediate skills. Please subscribe to our channel CaliWeight BROS, CWB, and I see you in the next video. Peace.